Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian Podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Welcome back to the Fertility Dietitian Podcast. Today, we're talking about something that has quietly sabotaged fertility journeys for decades: diet culture. If you're in your 30s and trying to get pregnant, or even your 40s, there's a really good chance you've spent most of your life being told that eating less is better, that fat makes you fat, that carbs are the enemy, and that calories are everything, and that if you're struggling with your weight, you simply need more willpower. The problem? None of these messages were designed with fertility in mind, and your body isn't trying to win a weight loss competition when we're talking about fertility. It's trying to determine whether it's safe enough to create and sustain life. And those are two very different goals. I see so many women come into my practice feeling frustrated because they've been doing everything right, quote unquote, according to diet culture. They're eating low calorie, they're avoiding carbs or really restricting them. They're choosing low fat foods and they're skipping meals. And they're trying to lose weight before pregnancy. And yet their cycles are irregular, their temperatures are low, ovulation's inconsistent, progesterone is struggling, and they're not getting pregnant. So today I want to share 5 things that diet culture never told you about fertility. Because when you understand what your body actually needs to thrive, everything starts to make a heck of a lot more sense. So let's dive in. Number 1, your hormones need fat. If you grew up in the 90s, chances are you remember the low fat craze. Everything became fat-free yogurt, fat-free cookies, fat-free salad dressing. We were told that fat was unhealthy and that avoiding it would make us healthier. But the truth is that fertility hormones literally require fat. Cholesterol is the building block for estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol. And without adequate dietary fat, your body doesn't have the raw materials that it needs to produce hormones efficiently. Fat is also critical for cell membrane health, egg quality, nutrient absorption, brain health, inflammation regulation, healthy cervical mucus, building a receptive uterine lining. Okay, your eggs are tiny cells, and the quality of those cells are influenced by the quality of the fats incorporated into them. This is one reason why we focus so heavily on nutrient-dense fats inside the Master Your Fertility program. Think pasture-raised eggs and avocados, olive oils, grass-fed meats, full-fat dairy, nuts and seeds, and fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. One thing I often see in fertility labs is total cholesterol that is too low or dysregulated LDL and HDL. And women are shocked when I tell them I don't love seeing cholesterol, total cholesterol, under 160. Low cholesterol can sometimes be a sign that your body doesn't have enough building blocks available for optimal hormone production and supporting egg quality. Fertility is not the time to fear healthy fats. It's the time to embrace them. Okay. Number 2. Well, before we move on to number 2, I should say that I have a much more detailed podcast on types of fats and best fats for fertility that we will also link in the show notes if you want to learn more about that. Okay, number 2, your hormones don't reset every morning. Okay, one of the biggest lies diet culture sold us is that what you eat today only impacts today. That's not how fertility works. That's not how our body works. Egg development is a long process. The follicle that will eventually release an egg starts developing months before ovulation. And we have most influence over that quality of maturation in about that 90 day time frame before ovulation happens. So in fact, the environment surrounding your eggs is being shaped for about 3 months before conception. Actually, much longer than that. But again, we have the biggest impact on that 3 to 4 months. Preconception, I typically am recommending that we're looking closer to 6 months to a year if you have it to really dive into preconception care. But the same thing applies to sperm too. Sperm development takes at least 75 days, but the environment that's going to be influencing that sperm development starts much sooner also. So this means that your fertility isn't determined by what you ate yesterday, okay, or today. It's influenced by the patterns that you've created over time. So your body needs consistent nourishment, not perfection, not detoxes, not cleanses or juice fasts, but consistent nourishment. Your hormones are constantly adapting to the environment that you provide. And when you chronically undereat, skip meals, or bounce between restriction and overeating, your body receives mixed signals. It becomes harder to prioritize reproduction. And fertility is one of the most energy demanding things that your body does. Okay. The body wants reassurance that the resources are going to be available to be able to support it. The goal is not eating perfectly. The goal is creating an environment where your body feels safe and supported enough to invest in reproduction. Number 3, carbohydrates are not the enemy. This might be one of the most important messages in today's episode. Carbs are not the enemy of fertility. Now, before someone messages me saying, but Brooke, what about my blood sugar? Let's talk about it. Poor blood sugar regulation can absolutely impact fertility negatively, but removing carbohydrates entirely is not the answer. Healthy carbohydrates support thyroid function, ovulation, progesterone production, gut health, stress resilience, and metabolic health, also blood sugar balance, okay? Very low carb diets can actually increase cortisol in many women, and they can actually reduce active thyroid hormone conversion too. So when increasing cortisol due to under eating carbohydrates, you're actually making blood sugar worse. They can make it harder for your body to feel safe enough to ovulate consistently when you're under eating carbohydrates for the same reason, really. Stress is increasing in the body. The body feels like it's starving. It's not easy to create energy, so it doesn't send energy to reproduction. Your ovaries need a lot of energy. Your thyroid needs a lot of energy. Your brain needs a lot of energy, and your brain is communicating to your reproductive system. And of course, your entire reproductive system needs energy. So the answer isn't no carbs, it's better carbs, okay? And balance around how you're eating those carbs. Foods like potatoes and sweet potatoes, fruit, beans, lentils, squash, and whole grains. Whole grains can be a piece of the puzzle. Oftentimes we're seeing limited grains is actually most supportive, because when we're focusing on more of our like whole food starchy veggies and fruits, we're getting even more fertility benefit from those also. Doesn't mean grains are bad, but the standard American diet tends to have way too many of them. These foods, like your starchy veggies, your fruits, your beans, legumes, provide fiber and minerals and antioxidants and fuel for your metabolism. One of the biggest fertility breakthroughs I see is when women stop fearing carbs and start actually using them strategically, because fertility thrives in an environment of abundance, not deprivation. This doesn't mean that you have to put on a lot of weight, but it does mean that there has to be an excess of energy available to help the body feel safe and nourished. Okay, number 4 thing that diet culture didn't teach you about fertility. Fiber added to processed food is not the same as whole food fiber. So diet culture loves shortcuts, and food companies know consumers want fiber. So they add isolated fibers into protein bars and keto products and cereals and processed foods. Then they market them as healthy. And the problem is that isolated fibers don't provide everything your microbiome needs. So that environment, that bacterial environment in your gut is really important for fertility support. 2, immune system support, how you're digesting and absorbing the foods that you're eating. and so on and so forth. If you want more info on gut health and fertility, I have an episode on that we will link in the show notes. So whole food contains fiber alongside polyphenols, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. All of these work together to nourish the gut microbiome and overall fertility. And your gut microbiome plays a massive role in fertility. Your gut actually influences estrogen metabolism, inflammation, immune regulation, nutrient absorption, and blood sugar balance. And the healthiest microbiomes are typically supported by diversity, not fiber powders or additives in processed foods like protein bars. Okay. Think vegetables and fruits and beans and lentils, nuts, seeds, herbs, and whole grains. And so a good goal for fiber is aiming for at least 30 different plant foods each week. The more diversity that you provide, the more diverse your microbiome becomes, and the benefits that you receive for fertility are huge. It all benefits your egg quality and your hormone production. Overall goal for fiber, if you want to check in on where you're coming in there, is 30 grams of fiber, but primarily from whole foods. Okay. Number 5, fertility requires more protein than most women are eating. This one tends to surprise people. Many women trying to conceive are not eating enough protein, or they're relying too heavily on plant-based protein sources or even protein powders and additives that make it really difficult to meet overall fertility nutrient needs. So protein provides amino acids that help build every tissue in the body, including reproductive tissues. Animal proteins are especially rich sources of fertility supportive nutrients like choline and B12, heme iron, which is way easier to use than non-heme iron, which is found in plants, zinc, taurine, creatine, and glycine. And these nutrients are really critical for things like egg quality, ovulation, methylation, which is also basically egg quality, energy production, and just overall healthy pregnancy development. So can someone have a healthy pregnancy while following a vegan diet? Yes, but it requires really careful planning and supplementation. And the reality is that animal foods provide many fertility nutrients in forms that are easier for our body to absorb and utilize. So for most fertility clients, increasing high quality protein is one of the fastest ways to improve satiety, blood sugar stability, nutrient status, and hormone health. So aim to include quality protein at every meal, like eggs, grass-fed beef, poultry, seafood, Greek yogurts, cottage cheese, lamb, bison, and so forth. So protein isn't just about muscle. It's about creating the raw materials that you need for life, right? For creating life. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it's this. Fertility is not supported by restriction. It's supported by nourishment. Your body isn't asking for less. It's asking for enough nutrients, enough energy, enough protein, enough healthy fats, enough carbohydrates, and enough consistency. Diet culture taught women to shrink themselves. Fertility asks you to build yourself, to nourish yourself, to create an environment where your body feels safe enough to do one of the most incredible things it's capable of doing. And that's exactly what we focus on inside the Master Your Fertility program, which is my private coaching program, because getting pregnant is not just about timing. It's about creating the healthiest possible environment for conception, pregnancy, and a healthy baby. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who's trying to conceive, and make sure you're subscribed to the Fertility Dietitian Podcast so you never miss an episode. See you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.